A personal independence payment, or PIP, stands as a lifeline for individuals grappling with long-term illnesses or disabilities. It provides vital financial support, enabling them to manage the additional costs associated with their conditions. However, the landscape of PIP is undergoing a seismic shift, with recent changes to entitlement rules sending shockwaves through the lives of those who rely on it. These changes, touted as necessary measures to ensure the sustainability of the welfare system, have sparked widespread concern and fear among claimants and advocacy groups alike. The heart of the matter lies in the tightening of eligibility criteria and the introduction of a new scoring system, a move that has left many current and prospective recipients in a state of uncertainty and anxiety. The ramifications of these changes are far-reaching, impacting not only the financial well-being of individuals but also their access to essential care and support. As the dust settles on these sweeping reforms, it is imperative to examine their implications for the most vulnerable members of our society. The changes to PIP are not merely about numbers on a spreadsheet. They represent a profound shift in the social contract, one that raises fundamental questions about our collective responsibility towards those facing significant challenges. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of these reforms, it is crucial to remember the human stories that lie at their core. The lives of countless individuals and families hang in the balance, their futures uncertain as they grapple with the implications of a system that appears to be shrinking its embrace. The promise of support and security, once a beacon of hope, now flickers with uncertainty, leaving many to navigate a future fraught with financial hardship and diminished access to vital resources. At the heart of the PIP overhaul lies a stark reality. An estimated 800,000 individuals are set to lose either part or all of their benefits. This figure encompasses both existing recipients who face the daunting prospect of reassessment under the new rules and future applicants whose hopes of receiving support have been dealt a significant blow. The criteria for qualifying for PIP have undergone a fundamental transformation, with a new points-based system introduced to assess an individual's ability to carry out daily living activities. Under this new system, claimants must score a minimum of 4 points on one specific activity to be deemed eligible for the daily living component of PIP. This seemingly minor adjustment has profound consequences, effectively excluding a significant number of people who previously qualified for support. For instance, while assistance with washing between the shoulders and waist now carries a qualifying score of 4 points, help with hair or lower body washing, tasks that can be equally challenging for those with disabilities, only garner 2 points, rendering claimants ineligible for support. These changes represent a worrying trend towards a narrower interpretation of disability and its impact on daily life. By raising the bar for eligibility and focusing on specific activities rather than the overall impact of a condition, the government risks excluding those who require support but may not fit neatly into predefined categories. The consequences of these changes are far-reaching, potentially forcing individuals to give up their independence, rely more heavily on family members, or even face the prospect of poverty. The changes to PIP represent a significant departure from the principle of providing a safety net for those who need it most, leaving many vulnerable individuals feeling abandoned and uncertain about their future. The financial implications of the PIP changes are stark and deeply concerning. On average, individuals who lose their entitlement stand to lose approximately £4,500 annually, a significant sum that can have a devastating impact on their lives. For families already struggling to make ends meet, this loss of income could be catastrophic, pushing them further into debt and hardship. The cumulative effect of these cuts on the UK's social fabric is equally alarming. The Guardian reports that these benefit cuts are projected to plunge an additional 250,000 people, including a heartbreaking 50,000 children, into relative poverty by 2029/30. This represents a significant step backwards in the fight against poverty and inequality, undermining years of progress and leaving a generation of children at risk of being trapped in a cycle of deprivation. Beyond the immediate financial impact, the changes to PIP have far-reaching consequences for the broader economy. The reduction in benefits will inevitably lead to a decrease in consumer spending, potentially impacting local businesses and slowing economic growth. Moreover, the increased burden on families and social care services will place further strain on already stretched resources, creating a ripple effect that will be felt across society. The government's justification for these cuts, the need to curb welfare spending and incentivize work, rings hollow in the face of such widespread hardship. The reality is that many PIP recipients are simply unable to work due to the severity of their conditions. Forcing them into an already strained job market is not only unrealistic but also deeply unfair, further marginalizing those who are already struggling. The government's decision to overhaul PIP has not been met with silence. A chorus of disapproval has erupted from opposition parties, with the Liberal Democrats and the SNP condemning the move as cruel and short-sighted. These parties argue that the changes will disproportionately impact the most vulnerable members of society, pushing them further into poverty and despair. Campaign groups and charities have also voiced their outrage, highlighting the devastating impact of the cuts on the lives of disabled people and their families. They argue that the government's focus on reducing welfare spending ignores the human cost of these policies, leaving many feeling abandoned and betrayed by the very system that should be supporting them. The public's response to the PIP changes has been equally critical, with many expressing their anger and dismay on social media and through petitions. The government's attempt to frame these changes as necessary reforms has been met with skepticism, with many viewing them as a callous attack on the most vulnerable members of society. The changes to PIP represent a defining moment in our social and political landscape. They force us to confront fundamental questions about our values and priorities as a nation. Do we prioritize fiscal austerity over the well-being of our most vulnerable citizens? Or do we choose to create a society that is truly inclusive and supportive, one that recognizes the inherent dignity and worth of all its members, regardless of their abilities or disabilities? The answer to these questions will shape the future of our nation and determine the kind of society we want to live in.